combination of the horror and crime investigation genres is something that makes for interesting synergy that piques the interest of audiences. More than this duality, Cold Case interested me even more because of Prithviraj and Aditi Balan being roped in for the project. Prithviraj and his trajectory in Malayalam cinema especially has been very interesting. A man who has lived through Malayalam cinema that has gone through a creative rut at one point of time and has been a part of the new wave, actually spearheading it in many ways as India and the global market has become full of praises of the industry in the last 7 or 8 years. The man consistently talks about not connecting with a lot of films he did initially in his career and how he is grateful to be actively working now in the creatively rich industry. Aditi Balan is an actor who I fell in love with after Aruvi, putting forth such a convincing performance that I was extremely intrigued by the combination of actors in this synergy of genres with Cold Case. Directed by Tanu Balak, the film focuses on a garbage bag being caught in the net of a fisherman only to reveal that it entails a human skull. The police and their investigation to find the identity of the dead and the killer forms one part of the storyline, while simultaneously an investigative journalist experiences paranormal activities in her new rented home, only to realize that both factions have more in common than they would expect. The only difference being that they have two entirely different approaches, one based on concrete facts and logic, and the other through the realm beyond the living. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of Cold Case so that you guys can ultimately decide whether it's worth your time on Amazon Prime Video or not. The good. Sound design and background score. One thing that is absolutely undeniable is that Cold Case is technically brilliant. Even if stories in Malayalam cinema are not that engaging, we often marvel at its technical aspects. A feature of films that we often undermine is the sound design. This often entails the type of sound beyond the background score that assists various camera movements or complex sequences. While the jump scares in these types of films is the easiest trope to rile up a reaction from the audience, there are several moments almost inconsequential to the story but which technically grasp your attention or make you momentarily jump with shock. More than the visual representation, it is enhanced through the sound design by Sankaran and K.C. Siddharthan, and the careful use of it, especially with the characters' movements. The music of this film has been composed by Prakash Alex, and I have to say that it is probably its strongest quality. Many horror films or crime investigating storylines have exceptional background scores that really elevate your anxiety as the case further develops. You look at films like Rakshasan, Anjam Patara, or even Game Over. They never overwhelm the storyline, but in contrast, enhance it. And similarly regarding Cold Case, the background score is such that it definitely stands out, more than what we envisioned Cold Case's storyline would be. Prithviraj, Aditi and Suchitra. Despite various underwhelming aspects of the film, I cannot argue against the performances by the main cast. Prithviraj plays the role of ACP Satyajit. This is a man who is determined to seek for the truth, despite the gravity of the hurdles that come his way. He is emotionally distant, something that I will elaborate on later, but the man in a police uniform just works wonders, irrespective of the impact of the script. I mean, history has proven that. Aditi Balan is also extremely convincing in her role, a character that is fleshed out more than Prithviraj's character, a journalist struggling both personally and professionally and who takes an active interest in seeking for truth in the mysterious paranormal activities in her home. Her love for her daughter, annoyance with her in-laws and curiosity with the events all are convincing. In the supporting role, Suchitra Pillai, a blind occult researcher, doesn't come across as corny, something that I really feared. And a huge shout out to baby Alina, who plays Aditi's daughter. Probably the cutest little kid who sadly isn't utilized enough to increase the quotient of horror that had so much potential but barely scratched the surface. Cute kids in horror movies have a tendency to be absolutely mortifying, but in this case, baby Alina was just cute. The underwhelming aspects. Information dense. An experience that many viewers will have while watching Cold Case, that it is extremely information dense, so much so that it will force you to take down notes as the case develops. The reason why I say it compels you to write down its progression is because you are genuinely of the belief that all of this information will be of use as the case gets unraveled. You have everything from broken marriages, horrible in-laws, property disputes, huge inheritance, blind faith in godmen, traumatic childhoods, and all of this is barely of any consequence as we reach the final act. There are several points of information that initially would pique your interest and suspicion, and it would be left high and dry. When it comes to the horror or thriller genre, you can still envision there to be many loopholes or unresolved issues in the storyline, but there are too many in the case of Cold Case, making you wonder why the creator wanted to leave so many loose ends. Lack of character depth. My biggest gripe with Cold Case, as I had previously mentioned, is that it is emotionally very distant. See, I, like many Malayalam cinema fans and Malus themselves, have a lot of expectations with a Prithviraj startup, especially when he puts on a cop uniform. Cold Case is one of those rare Prithviraj movies where I did not know anything about his character. While his convincing performance interested me in the case that he was investigating, I was not privy to a single personal hurdle that he was facing. A hint of a deadbeat distant relative provides some insight, but it is not enough to really feel invested for the individual. The reason for the timeless quality of a film like Memories or Mumbai Police is how the creators utilize the thriller genre to unravel aspects of the main protagonist, both played by Prithviraj, as the case come to its penultimate conclusion. The revelations often provided us an insight to his character, which would justify his actions as well in the present scenario. In comparison to these extremely layered and in-depth character analysis films, Cold Case falls flat in giving us even a small peek into the character of Satyajit. Potential versus execution. When you look at the premise of Cold Case on paper and what was executed, you realize the untapped potential of such a film and why it comes across as simply average and something that will not be remembered even next week. I was looking at several moments from this film. One from a horror perspective, which included a child peeking into a mysterious well, a mother-in-law speaking highly of a god-man and her belief, a child in retrospect hauntingly singing to her doll, and second, from a thriller perspective, whether it be political pressure, the role of media and their manipulation, or even the suspicious behavior of superiors during the case investigation. All of these moments are presented fleetingly, and it disappointed me because I wanted this project to work like any other work, but it never really does either of the genres well. When you look at the combination of both genres, I would like to mention Talash and the Tamil film Andagaram, that in many ways excelled at the balance of both genres. While Andagaram stylistically was exceptional, a clear case of technical brilliance, while still exploring characters undergoing emotional hurdles in their own way, Talash similarly explored the realm beyond the known while keeping audiences invested in the case at hand. Sadly, Cold Case does not match up to the brilliance of these two films at all. For all the information that is provided to us, and how the third and final act shape up, Cold Case really becomes underwhelming as the intention and motivations for the case at hand come across as simply generic. This is not because of the expectation one had with a Prithviraj film or a comparative analysis with other exceptional thrillers, but strictly from a writing point of view, moments or revelations that should have shocked you or make your jaw drop actually generate a feeling of apathy to the case, something that is never a good ingredient to have for a thriller. I had a lot of expectations from Cold Case. While it can be technically praised, it is strictly an average crime thriller that will be forgotten very soon. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Cold Case. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.